season between Colorado and Cincinnati. Todd hit a career-high 17 home runs that year, and it was the same year that Barry Bonds hit 73 home runs.
Yeah.
Were steroids rampant in the game at that time?
I think at the time your mind didn't go there because it wasn't like it is now, where now you pretty much know that was the case. Back then, Barry Bonds was just huge. I mean, you know, he walked in our clubhouse one time. He looked like a bodybuilder, you know. And in San Francisco is not the easiest place to hit. He had however many home runs he did over his lifetime there. If he'd have been in Milwaukee or Texas, or there were a lot of hitters' ballparks back then, he'd have hit 1,000 home runs. I mean, because he hit one off us, Chris Reitsma. I still remember I was with Cincinnati. I'm playing second. He's left-hand hitter, so a lot of them go over my head. He cut the wind in San Francisco, and it barely went out. But it was on a night where there's nobody hitting it out of right field. I mean, the wind's blowing in off that water at Pac Bell, the newer stadium. They weren't using Candlestick anymore. And he cut that wind and hit a home run. I'm like, that is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. So what he did in San Francisco is even more impressive than, you know, if he were to do it anywhere else. But yeah, I mean, me, I was a doubles guy. The steroid thing, again, your mind never went there. I just thought, these guys are just, I mean, they must be in the gym nonstop. You know? I'm not doing that. Because for an infielder, and I learned this the hard way actually, if you start lifting weights and really getting after it and trying to get stronger, you have to focus on stretching and keeping your mobility, because you'll lose it. But I got real strong when I was going to I'd been traded to Colorado. Well, this was the next year, going into camp with Colorado and then getting to play the season with Colorado. So I was, that off season, I'm like, I'm getting ready to go now. And that's when I hit the 17 home runs that year. But I lost a little accuracy with my arm. I just remember feeling different in the field. But at the plate, I felt great because I was as strong as I've ever been in my life. You know, in fact, my very first at bat of that season as the two-hole hitter in Colorado against the late Darryl Kyle, pitching for the Cardinals, I hit one out of dead center. I mean, crushed it, dead center. And so that was a good year for me, but I learned a lot about flexibility and about keeping your mobility, even though you're getting stronger, because I didn't do any of that. I was just lifting weights.